Mr. and Mrs. Brad Pitt snapped just after they tied the knot. Brad Pitt's in a black tuxedo, Jennifer Aniston in a white satin silk gown.
Brad Pitt has spent decades in the spotlight. His life a whirlwind of blockbuster films, headline-making romances, and impossible expectations. From early love affairs to marriages that captivated the world, every step of his heart's journey has been watched, analyzed, and speculated about. Yet after all the fame, the heartbreak, and the public scrutiny, Pitt has finally revealed the one woman who truly holds a permanent place in his heart. So, who is she? And why does this confession change everything we thought we knew about his love life? Let's find out. A reunion that felt like no time had passed. When Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston ran into each other backstage at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, the encounter lasted barely a few seconds.
Well, get ready for a Brad Pitty party, because he says that despite all the fame and fortune, he just doesn't have very many close.
But what happened in those fleeting moments was unlike anything anyone expected from two former lovers meeting after years apart. There was none of the careful distance, the polite small talk, or the hesitation that usually comes with seeing someone who once played a monumental role in your life. Instead, they laughed freely, without restraint, as if no time had passed at all. Their smiles weren't rehearsed for the cameras, and the usual air of caution that accompanies high-profile encounters was completely absent. Even their glances told a story. In their eyes was a warmth and ease that only comes from truly knowing someone, from seeing them at their best and worst. There was no hesitation, no awkward searching for the right words or gestures. Years of separation seemed meaningless, as if a conversation paused long ago had simply resumed without missing a beat. Every smile, every subtle movement spoke of deep comfort, unshakable trust, and an understanding that needed no words, a connection so strong that neither time, distance, nor life's unexpected turns could ever weaken it. Years had passed since the world watched their relationship unfold. Both had married, experienced heartbreak, and navigated the highs and lows of fame. They had lived entire lives apart, yet in that brief backstage encounter, none of that history felt like a barrier. Instead, it felt like a bridge, a gentle reminder that some connections don't end, they merely wait. Watching them interact, one could sense a deeper emotional continuity, a thread of unspoken history that neither marriage, divorce, nor the relentless gaze of the media could sever. It wasn't nostalgia or sentimentality driving their reunion. It was the quiet truth that certain bonds simply persist, growing more resilient and nuanced with time. The way they shared that instant reframed the idea of reunion itself. This wasn't a chance to relive the past or rehash old stories. It was a subtle, powerful reminder that some relationships are never fully concluded. Instead of restarting, they continued, naturally and effortlessly, like two people who had always understood each other's rhythm, humor, and presence. It was a moment that left observers quietly stunned, a reminder that in life, some loves leave marks far beyond their years, lingering in ways that are both comforting and profound. For Brad and Jennifer, it was clear that what once existed had never truly disappeared. It had merely evolved, waiting for the right time to quietly announce itself again. They shared a brief, casual interaction when they met at the Screen Actors Guild Award. But does that mean the feelings they once had for each other have completely disappeared? Or was there a confession one of them couldn't make in front of the crowd? Now, let's uncover what Brad Pitt finally revealed about Jennifer. The comfort that lasted a lifetime. Years after their separation, Brad Pitt opened up in a candid interview with Esquire, revealing a side of his relationship with Jennifer Aniston that few had ever seen.
True that Jennifer sleepwalks. Is that true? That's true.
True story. Yes, she often, she gets a lot done when she's asleep. I caught her outside one night.
He spoke not of grand gestures, red carpets, or Hollywood spectacles, but of something far more intimate, far more human. He described the effortless comfort he always felt with her, calling her brilliant, funny, and someone with whom he could simply be himself. In a moment that captured both humor and warmth, he joked that they could even fart in bed and enjoy ice cream together. That simple, unpolished detail spoke volumes. It revealed a connection that was never performative, never staged for the cameras, but rooted in genuine familiarity and ease. These small human moments explained why, decades later, no other romance in Pitt's life seemed to hold the same depth. Not the whirlwind relationships that filled tabloids, not the marriages that made global headlines, and certainly not the intense public romances that drew constant media attention. All of those loves came with spectacle, scrutiny, and expectations that could never replicate the quiet authenticity he had shared with Jennifer. With her, there had always been a sense of home, a rare space where pretense was unnecessary and joy could be spontaneous. Their bond had endured, despite the passing years, the changes in their lives, and the distance that often separates two people who once shared everything. Time had not diminished their connection. If anything, it had allowed it to evolve into something even more resilient. Life's turbulence, the heartbreak, the fame, the challenges of navigating public scrutiny could never erase the foundation they had built together. Their love, in its quiet persistence, became a standard against which all other relationships were measured. Some romances fade fast, others shine brightly, then vanish. But a rare few endure, evolving without losing their essence, staying alive even as life changes. For Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, their bond showed this rare magic. It wasn't about perfection, fame, or showing off. It was about laughter, trust, and the quiet joy of simply being together, savoring moments that no time or circumstance could erase. In the end, she was not just the love of his life in the conventional sense. She was the love of his life, always returned to, the benchmark against which all subsequent affection, intimacy, and connection were quietly measured. The laughter, the ease, and the honesty they could share decades later were proof that some bonds are timeless. No matter the years or experiences in between, certain loves never truly end. They simply find ways to endure, quietly and profoundly, beyond headlines and public attention. Brad confesses that he has always felt completely comfortable with Jennifer, yet he hesitated to openly admit that she is the love of his life. But what was their relationship like for Brad to make such a confession? Was their separation truly mutual, or was it influenced by one of them struggling to cope with betrayal? Let's find out. The marriage built on ease. Long before the world turned every move of their lives into global headlines, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston shared a relationship that felt refreshingly ordinary, even by Hollywood standards. There were no constant paparazzi chases, no relentless gossip columns defining their every interaction. Instead, their love was quietly grounded in friendship, mutual respect, and shared laughter. They worked alongside each other, teased one another, and offered genuine support in public appearances, proving that even amid fame, a relationship could maintain its humanity. Beyond their personal moments, they built something tangible together, co-founding Plan B Entertainment, a professional partnership that mirrored the trust and understanding at the core of their bond.
There were some pretty sad moments, as any kid from a divorce will tell you.
It was rare in Hollywood to see a couple that could balance both career ambitions and emotional closeness, but they managed it with an effortless grace. Their wedding in Malibu in 2000 reflected this balance. While celebrity weddings often make headlines for drama or extravagance, theirs became memorable for something much subtler: harmony. The ceremony celebrated love, yes, but also partnership, laughter, and a genuine sense of togetherness. Surrounded by family, friends, and fellow stars, the day wasn't about public spectacle or competition. It was about two people entering a shared life, and in that sense, it set them apart from the chaotic romance stories that usually dominate Hollywood gossip. Their union, celebrated with thoughtful elegance and warm joy, became a quiet benchmark of what a celebrity marriage could aspire to without the glare of constant scrutiny. In 2005, the moment everyone anticipated finally arrived: their separation. Yet, unlike so many celebrity breakups, it unfolded quietly, without drama, bitter accusations, or tabloid chaos. There were no public fights, no fingers pointed, no media-fueled anger. Instead, it seemed they shared a rare understanding about love, that endings don't erase the meaning of what came before. Their announcement carried a gentle honesty, a recognition that a chapter had closed while still honoring the respect, warmth, and significance of the bond they once shared. Even in parting, the essence of their connection remained intact. Time would later make that distinction even more significant. In a world where celebrity relationships are often reduced to scandal, gossip, and fleeting narratives, Brad and Jennifer demonstrated that love could survive its own ending in a different form. Their separation didn't signal failure or erasure. It was a quiet lesson in maturity, a demonstration that some connections endure in ways that go beyond romantic labels. Even years later, the respect, warmth, and understanding that survived the divorce would echo throughout every public reunion, every shared project.
How much do you think that shaped you, having your parents get
Divorced? Everything.
really?
Oh, yeah.
And every moment that reminded the world why their love had always been extraordinary in its simplicity. The couple's relationship appeared perfect, yet it still ended in divorce. But did Brad find true love after the split, or was it merely a fleeting illusion masquerading as romance? How long did these unions actually last? Now, let's dive into how Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie redefined love before their inevitable fall. The intense empire of Brangelina. Then came Angelina Jolie. The meeting happened on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it sparked one of the most talked about romances in modern Hollywood history. From the very beginning, there was a magnetic intensity between Brad Pitt and Angelina. It wasn't just attraction. It was a force that seemed to pull two superstars together with a kind of inevitability. Unlike previous relationships, this one unfolded on a global stage, with the media capturing every glance, every gesture, every public appearance. Their romance became historic, a cultural phenomenon that redefined what it meant to be a celebrity couple in the 21st century. They moved quickly, building a family that immediately captured the world's attention. Together, they adopted children from different countries, blending love and humanitarian ideals into their everyday life. Eventually, they welcomed biological children, creating a large, multicultural family that was admired, scrutinized, and envied in equal measure.
Jolie claimed Pitt was abusive to her and their children during the 2-year marriage.
Their marriage at Chateau Miraval in France became a symbol of both their love and their ambition, a personal sanctuary amid the chaos of worldwide fame. Public appearances, humanitarian work, and media coverage became part of the rhythm of their lives, showing the world a couple who was at once glamorous and profoundly influential. The defining trait of their decade together was intensity. Everything about their connection was heightened: the passion, the public fascination, the stakes of family life, and even the private tensions behind the cameras. While some saw a perfect celebrity pairing,
the Associated Press broke the news that the couple tied the knot on Saturday, August 23rd at their gorgeous Chateau Miraval in France.
the truth was far more complex. Every moment was charged with emotion, and the couple navigated challenges that went far beyond ordinary relationships. The scrutiny was relentless, and the pressure magnified every conflict. When Brad's marriage ended in 2016, the stark difference from his earlier life with Jennifer Aniston was impossible to ignore. What had once been a whirlwind of passion turned into a storm of conflict, courtroom battles, and endless public speculation. The same intensity that had fueled their love now fueled their heartbreak. Fans and media watched closely as a high-profile romance collapsed, leaving behind a trail of emotional chaos, unanswered questions, and a glimpse into the private struggles behind celebrity glamour. Looking back, the difference between these two defining chapters in Pitt's love life becomes evident. One relationship, with Jennifer Aniston, had been steady, quietly enduring, and ultimately left a sense of warmth and respect. The other, with Angelina Jolie, had been explosive, historic, and deeply impactful, but it left a much more visible wake of emotional struggle. Both shaped Brad Pitt's life, his family, and his public persona, but only one carried forward without leaving lasting emotional wreckage. The comparison underscores the rare and enduring nature of true connection, a love that can survive time and change, rather than one defined solely by intensity and spectacle. Unlike Brad and Jennifer's union, Brad and Angelina Jolie's relationship ended amid years of legal battles and public scrutiny. But what were Brad's early relationships like? Could they have shaped the way he connects with women? Let's uncover the astonishing details. The pattern hidden in the years before. Long before Brad Pitt became the subject of global fascination for his high-profile romances, his early relationships offered glimpses of his heart, personality, and growing understanding of love. From his youthful romance with Sunita in the mid-1980s to the spark he shared with Gwyneth Paltrow after filming Seven, these connections were filled with admiration, chemistry, and genuine affection. There was laughter, shared experiences, and moments of intense connection. Yet there was also a recurring pattern. These relationships, no matter how promising, lacked permanence. Each romance taught him something different about himself, about partnership, and about what he wanted from love. Sunita remembered him as captivating, handsome, and deeply charismatic, and she later admitted regret for letting something extraordinary slip away. With Jill Schoelen and E.G. Daly, Pitt revealed the gentler, more intimate side of his personality. Someone thoughtful, driven, and capable of deep emotional connection. These early relationships, while meaningful in the moment, offered lessons rather than lifelong anchors. By the time he met Gwyneth Paltrow, Pitt had experienced both the highs of infatuation and the realities of emotional impermanence. Their connection was electric, a fairy tale romance set against the backdrop of Hollywood glamour. Engagements, red carpet appearances, and public declarations of love painted a picture of a man who could commit passionately and wholeheartedly. Yet even these seemingly perfect connections ultimately faltered, teaching him that love alone, no matter how intense, could not guarantee stability. Looking back, Brad Pitt's past relationships reveal more than just Hollywood romances. They tell the story of a man learning love's true meaning. These were not failures or fleeting affairs, but lessons that shaped his heart and mind. Every bond, every heartbreak, and every fleeting moment of tenderness added pieces to the emotional map he would follow. Through these experiences, he learned to recognize a love rare and grounding, the kind that could finally anchor his heart for good. In essence, these early romances were less like final destinations and more like chapters in a journey toward emotional maturity. They revealed the difference between passion and stability, intensity and compatibility, fleeting excitement and enduring love. They helped shape the man who could eventually identify the person who would become the love of his life, someone whose presence would feel natural, comforting, and irreplaceable, even decades later. While these early connections carried their own magic, their ultimate legacy lies in their role as teachers.
This is Brad's first interview in front of an audience. He wanted to give everybody a chance. He actually asked us, will the audience get a chance to ask questions?
They showed him the patterns of attraction, the limits of chemistry without balance, and the lessons necessary to recognize a love that could last. They were the prelude to understanding what stability, trust, and genuine companionship truly feel like, laying the foundation for the profound relationships that would define his later life. Brad had past relationships that shaped how he connects with women and may explain the pattern behind his divorces. But what happened after his heartbreak with Angelina Jolie? How did he cope afterward? Now, let's explore how Brad Pitt rediscovered emotional safety in his life. The calm after the storm. Years after the stormy end of his marriage to Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt entered a phase of his life marked less by spectacle and more by introspection. The whirlwind of intense media scrutiny and high-profile drama was behind him, and with it came a desire for something quieter, more grounded, and deeply personal. Slowly, he began exploring companionships that reflected a different kind of connection. Relationships not defined by headlines or paparazzi flashes, but by subtle intimacy, mutual respect, and shared calm. During this period, he was linked to Emily Ratajkowski, a strikingly independent model, author, and actress. Their time together was brief and perhaps intentionally so, but it revealed a key truth about Pitt's evolving priorities. In these quieter relationships, it wasn't the adrenaline, the public admiration, or the intensity that mattered most. What stood out was a focus on emotional safety, a space where laughter, conversation, and genuine human connection could exist without the intrusion of cameras or the pressure of global attention. These were not relationships meant to dominate tabloid pages. They were opportunities to rediscover what it felt like to feel calm, to feel understood, and to simply be with someone without expectation or pretense. It was during this era that Pitt's connection with Inés de Ramón began to take shape, and it quickly stood apart from anything that had come before. Unlike previous high-profile romances, this relationship was understated and private.
Both parties have long since moved on romantically. Pitt is dating jewelry designer Inés de Ramón,
the kind that allowed two people to coexist in the world on their own terms. Inés brought a sense of groundedness, an emotional steadiness, and an authenticity that had often been missing in the celebrity relationships that had dominated Pitt's life. Together, they cultivated a bond built on shared interests, intellectual curiosity, and the simple joys of companionship. There were no dramatic red carpet entrances, no orchestrated photo ops, only the quiet presence of two people who genuinely enjoyed being together. What is remarkable about this phase of Pitt's life is how it subtly echoed his earliest experiences with love. In the first stages of his career, long before fame complicated his relationships, he had been drawn to partnerships that carried warmth, ease, and emotional honesty. The qualities that made his marriage to Jennifer Aniston feel so rare: comfort, laughter, familiarity, and a deep mutual understanding.
Let's be honest, it was a difficult part. A guy who gets high, takes his shirt off, and doesn't get on with his wife.
Now quietly resurfaced in his more mature choices. Without ever explicitly referencing the past, his actions and relationships began reflecting an unspoken recognition of what truly mattered to him: stability, trust, and emotional safety over spectacle or intensity. In this sense, Pitt's post-divorce life represents a full-circle moment, a rediscovery of what love can feel like when stripped of pretense. While the world may have expected new headlines, scandals, or dramatic pairings, he sought instead the quiet rhythms of connection, the ordinary human moments that cultivate trust, respect, and lasting affection. This period of his life was less about proving anything to the world and more about honoring the lessons of the past, choosing relationships that echoed the calm, secure love he had once known, and demonstrating that, after decades of highs and lows, true connection is often found in simplicity and trust. So, what do you make of Brad Pitt's confession? Could he still remarry the love of his life? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.